elbow. Just this time, whatever you feel comfortable doing. Welcome on down. All right, make sure you welcome somebody nearby you there. Let them know that you noticed them. I know there's a lot of times people come to church and say, nobody even shook my hand. We're happy to see all of you, and I hope everyone around you makes you feel at home and comfortable with us here today. Page number, brother. All right, let's remain standing. Get a red hymn book in front of you. Brother Rod's going to give us the number. Let's stand and sing and worship the Lord. Page 17, holy, holy, holy. Page 70, all four verses, 70. Excite your flesh. And I'm not necessarily saying that that's always bad and wrong. There's certain songs that make you tap your foot. You know what I mean? Just got that good rhythm, harmony. But then there's some songs that'll speak to your soul. That song there speaks to your soul. Speaks to the inner person, not the outer person. Holy, 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 Lord God Almighty. Wow, what a song. Bow your heads, please, as we pray and ask God's blessing on this offering and upon this service, this meeting here this morning. Brother Evan, lead us in prayer.
Father, we can't thank you enough, Lord, for the blessings you poured out upon us. Lord, I just thank you so much for your son, Jesus. Lord,
announcements that we do have listed there in the bulletin, and if you didn't pick up a bulletin before you walked in today, make sure you get one. There's some out there in the vestibule of the church, and it does kind of give you a list of items that are happening and coming up here in the next month, the month of March. Hard to believe we're in the final week here of February, and March is a busy time of year, and they've got a lot of items that are happening coming up. I want to mention choir practice here at the conclusion of the service this morning. So choir members, if you don't mind, come on back up and help us as Brother Rodney will be leading us in the music department and helping us to learn new hymns and new songs to sing and just to be a blessing here to the church. So please, if you don't mind, come back and be with us. Just a short meeting that we don't last here for about half an hour. It's about all that we detain you. And we learn new hymns, new songs during that time. Let me mention also coming up here on March the 1st, Deacon Trustee meeting right after the evening service. We'll get right into that now. I want to mention also that next Sunday morning we'll be doing some baptisms here at the church. We have 3 or 4 candidates that have followed the Lord and want to follow the Lord in believers' baptism. And so next Sunday morning at the end of the service, we'll be doing that. That'll be part of the meeting next week. Also, let me mention March the 4th will be our next monthly ministry meeting. Them are always held here on Wednesday night. We'll have our regular church service here. We'll have our Bible study time and our prayer time. And then at the end of that, we'll get together with the church, the members of the church, and have our monthly ministry meeting. Again, Wednesday, March the 4th for that. Coming up also, March 7th will be our next church visitation, scheduled here for Saturday morning, 11 a.m. on March the 7th. And then on March the 8th, I want to mention, I should say this actually because a lot of you go to bed on Saturday evening, that March the 8th is daylight savings time comes back into effect. And so you'll be losing an hour. You'll have to move your clocks up 1 hour. Spring forward as I always understood it. So if you go to bed on Saturday evening at 11 o'clock, then make sure you set your alarm clock for 12 o'clock. And you move it up an hour, coming up here on March the 8th. Now, Sister Judy, we got in a debate here Wednesday night. Buddy, I tell you what, I seen some Baptists getting angry. No, I'm lying. I'm dying if I'm lying, and I don't want to do that. No, we had some people, no, preacher, it's March 28th. Some said March the 8th. And so we didn't know. Well, come find out, Judy wasn't wrong, even though she said March the 28th. March the 28th, it's daylight savings time in Canada. Big difference than the United States, right? So both of them were correct. They just had 2 different countries in mind when they were giving that information out. But anyway, coming up here on that weekend of March the 7th and the 8th, you'll have to do your time adjustment there. Then March 14th will be the Bible Believers Fellowship. That'll be held down at the Bible Baptist Church in Catlettsburg, Kentucky. And we always have a good time. Those meetings begin on Saturday at 10 a.m. And we have a number of preachers preach. And then we break for lunch and have a great dinner. And then afterwards we go back into the sanctuary and have another preacher or two before we're dismissed. So the next one coming up is March 14th. We'll be hosting one coming up in May, the second Saturday in May here at our church. March 29th also, Brother Carl Hewlett of the Gospel Preacher Association will be with us. He'll be bringing a missionary family with him, and he'll be doing the interpretation for them. And anyway, we're going to be excited to have these people come and be a part of our services here at the end of the month on March the 29th. We'll give you more information about many of those meetings as we approach them. All right, everyone, let's all go ahead and stand. If you don't mind, please, Brother Rodney has another song he wants to lead us into. You stand and sing. Will you do that, please?
Page 40. 40. Page 40. Great is thy faithfulness. 40. Great is thy faithfulness, O God, my Father. There is no shadow of turning with thee. Thou takest thought, thy compassions they fail not.
Gospel of John, John chapter number